team has been chosen. You must complete all of the tasks. I do not tolerate failure.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Everything Paranormal Show, where we like to discuss everything paranormal. Joining me tonight, of course, as always, the co-host, Stacey Tallitsch. Stacey, how you doing this evening, buddy?
Doing good.
All right.
Give, Terry Lynn, the universal sign language.
Yeah. And also, for those of you in the intro there, I played the original trailer for the first episode of Parrot Explorers, our show. Bob popped in the chat. Yo, what up?
What up?
What up, Bob? Hope you're doing good, buddy. Glad to see you in the chat already. So, yes, folks, we're probably going to talk about a little bit of everything paranormal, mostly ghost and afterlife stuff. So, and if my internet gets a little choppy tonight for a little bit, I'm sorry. But earlier, my wife started uploading some files, and she's, toward the end of that. So relax. I'm just letting you all know. So blame Terry Lynn for choppy internet tonight. But hopefully, but everyone wish Terry Lynn well. She was sick yesterday, and she's still trying to recover. It was more like a bad food type of sick, but you know how it really hurts you for a few days, and we're all recovering. I don't want to shout out the place that we think may have caused it, because we don't know for sure, and it's a place that we do like, so we want to save the reputation. But in any case, so Stacey, tonight I would like to discuss a little bit about the afterlife, and possibly even touch on some reincarnation. Now, the thing is, for those of you, if you've ever seen like places like Reddit, was it Quora? What is it? Is that Quora? I don't know. I'm always getting emails from people asking a ton of questions on that Quora. It's kind of like a Reddit. And they will ask a ton of questions, like a lot of biblical questions, a lot of afterlife questions, just all kinds of weird whatever stuff. And people answer, and then there's debate, and some people are like, screw you, you're wrong. Anyways, it's crazy. So today I actually saw where somebody was talking about why, if heaven is so great, why do spirits, come back to reincarnate, basically, come back. So again, now you can look at that in different ways. We're probably going to touch on that. But of course, what I found fascinating is I started reading some of the replies. And of course, you're going to have a variety. You're going to have some people of different faiths offering different things. Some people are a little more new age. Some people are old school. You get that variety. But what was so funny is that so many of the people were dead set on being correct. They're like, no, man, you're misinformed. That's not how it works. This is the deal. And it's just funny how everybody had all these different theories, and I call them theories, but everybody acted like they were right and the other people were wrong. Mm-hmm. So I find that very fascinating, because I did throw in my 2 cents. I actually went in there, and I usually don't, but I put in my comments. And basically, I'm going to sum it up by just saying, look, I actually did point it out in the comments. I said, look, I think it's funny that everybody is dead set on their way being the correct way, when in fact, no one really knows truly what happens in the afterlife. Now, we can speculate, we can do investigations, we can contact the dead, we can get clues from them. There's all kinds of things. People will swear up and down that however they found out, it's the right way. But yet we have multiple different ways, and maybe Stacey, and of course you're going to have a lot to say about this stuff tonight too. I just wanted to kind of preface it everything for us and kind of contextual, put it all in context, and just say that again, my personal belief is, look, nobody really knows, but some of us have been out in the field. Now, I also put in my answer that I challenged that person to go out and start seeking the truth for themselves and get out in the field, because a lot of people were recommending authors and things like that. And some of these authors I actually have seen before, and some of these authors don't actually go out in the field themselves. They really write books based on other people's field research. They truly don't experience it. And I tell people all the time, like, don't try to be an expert on something or comment on these things if you really don't. Like, don't try to come across as an expert if you've never been out in the field for yourself, experiencing it for yourself. Okay? Like, take it from me. I wouldn't comment on dieting if I hadn't tried it. Okay? So a lot of times fat people are good people to actually listen to dieting advice from, because we've been there, we've done that, we know how it is. All right? So that's why I'm saying with ghost stuff, talk to your field investigators. Talk to the people that's been out there in the field doing it, that's had experience face to face. Does that mean that they have the answers? No, but they start seeing that kind of commonality. They start seeing a pattern, okay, out of years of being around it. They just start seeing certain things, and that helps to clue things in. But some of these books, some of these theories, it's like they're just based off of other people's stories, experiences, NDEs, things like that. And don't get me wrong, I don't discount that stuff. But again, get out there, seek the truth. That's my 2 cents. I wanted to throw in there. So, Stacey, I'm going to open the floor up to you. And after everything I just said, what do you think about when you hear those type of comments and when people have questions like that?
Well, I mean, it's similar to what we've been talking about before. People, after the movie Exorcist came out, suddenly everyone knows how to perform an exorcism. You know, people take Hollywood at face value, even though that should never, ever happen. Even when they're doing documentaries, you know, when they try to get the closest they can get, no, they're trying to tell a story or a particular point of view. They're not trying to actually educate you on anything. You know, the National Geographic is the closest that you can get, and even then, it is so boring. Nobody on TV or even on the internet can really teach you. You have to actually experience a lot of the stuff for yourself. And you know, learning firsthand is key to pretty much anything in life. But what you're saying before with not knowing what happens on the other side, that actually includes the dead. If you've noticed in the field, the spirits themselves don't really know what's going on. They've crossed over and they haven't really grasped the concept, a lot of them, that they are themselves dead. And if they do, they think that the existence that they have now is the totality of death. They don't understand. There is no concept of heaven and hell. All of this stuff that they've been taught when they were alive didn't seem to apply to their own death. So they walk around a lot of times confused and agitated and irritated because people are going into their space trying to ask them questions. And they make them turn on little devices and talking to little microphones and things like that.
Perform for me, Seal. Perform for me.
So, I mean, what happens in the afterlife is, you know, based off of what religions tell us. You have a wide rainbow of things. Some people, and depending on what religion you're talking about, there is no afterlife per se. You're immediately tossed into the recycling bin and you pop out somebody else's vajayjay. You know, you're instantly reincarnated. There is no spiritual existence at all. essentially going from one life to the next life to the next life to the next life. Others, let's say in my religion, for instance, there is an afterlife, and it's a tiered system based off of your own spiritual elevation. Very hierarchical in that regard. There are good people that get elevated higher based off of the experiences and the things they've learned in life. What is, life? The whole purpose of living is to learn something. That's your whole mission for being here, is to learn something. And if you leave this earth before you learn something, you got to come back and figure it out. It's a do-over on the test. Once you figure it out, you can elevate to the next level on the spiritual side.
Well, if the afterlife is leveled, then I'm definitely going to live in the projects.
Yeah. Well, you'd be surprised on how much, wisdom you take along. And in some instances, your existence isn't even to actually learn something really, but to allow somebody else to learn something. You, on the other side, said, okay, I'll help this guy out. You come here, you meet, you do something, and who knows who it is. It might be just some schmuck on the street, or it might be your own son. You're here to teach something to someone, and then you can move on. So what is going on here?
This Terry Lynn's like 2 clips left. Sorry, almost done. Can't stop it in mid upload. This is what I was telling you. It's just for once, Stacy's more HD than you. And I said, yeah, his internet isn't being hijacked. So, but yeah, I mean, she usually tries to make sure all that stuff's done, but it's hard to, when you're uploading clips and stuff, because we video like all of our son's tennis stuff and then like upload it, to YouTube like privately, and that way we can kind of store it in a way, but also view it anywhere we want, privately, because we don't do it public. But in any case, but yes. So for me, again, I have my beliefs, and based on my experiences and those type of things as well. And I always respect people's beliefs. Like I said, I just think for me, it's irritating when I see how people respond to people, and they're just like, no, you're wrong, or you're an idiot, or whatever. And then they like act like they have the true answer, especially in something like this when nobody really does. None of us really do. I could be 180% wrong in my beliefs, 360 degrees, whatever. I could be completely way off bat. We all could. Who knows? We could have some weird, crazy afterlife. I mean, who knows? Really. But I just think it's funny. And then I think the other thing that irritates me too is the quote unquote like experts in the magazine. So I think I saw like one of the science journals had Doctor what was it? Doctor has proof of afterlife or something like that. I'm like, really? Mm-hmm. I would like to see this. Let me see what Doctor has proof of the afterlife. So I read through the article, and all I found, when it was all said and done, and then they listed this guy's merits. He was like he had like a whole column on this page, like of like 4 columns or something. Like a whole column was nothing but his merits. This guy was all the way like with, immune stuff, like his immune work for like AIDS, like all these great accomplishments as a doctor. I'm like, that's nice. That's great. But I guess he wanted to throw his hat. He wanted to put his hat into the ring on speculating about the afterlife. And he was talking about how energy and was indefinite and all this stuff. And his theory was decent. Like he had a theory, and I don't mind that. But don't gaslight me. Don't tell me like, oh yeah, this doctor has proof. There's no proof. There is no proof. And of course I know why they said it, because of course it had nothing to do with any type of God. It was just like more scientific, like, hey, energy, and we live on indefinitely after we die through just energy, and blah 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 blah, and he stretched it all out into this fancy. But when it all comes down to it, that's the bullshit he was feeding you. It's like, yeah, we just turn it into energy. That's it. It's like, dude, you're not the only one there, Doc, that said that anyways.
Yeah, and the whole idea of energy is kind of a misnomer. People think energy is this, like electricity. It's E equals MC squared is matter is energy and energy is matter, but the MC square technically is information. It's a matrix of information that forms matter from energy. I mean, the whole idea of matter and energy being the same thing, they can't exist without the information. What is consciousness? It's pure information. I mean, Google just came out and said their AI is sentient now. That isn't energy that is creating that. It's information inside the supercomputers that have created the consciousness. Right. Consciousness, according to Stephen Hawking, is information, and information, like energy, cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. And he does it in his examples of the black hole. If you take a chair and throw it into a black hole, the energy of it, off down to the subatomic level, it will be spaghettied, stringed into the black hole, while the information of that chair remains intact in the accretion disk. Meaning that if we had the technology to take that information and imbue it with energy, it would return into a chair. It doesn't, that energy or that information doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't dissipate. It still exists. And our consciousness is the same thing. It still exists, even though that the meat suit ceases to. And that's the spirit, the intelligence, whatever you want to call it. It has an existence outside of matter, outside of...
Let's just call it a soul. Let's call it a soul. Because that's what it really is. I mean, just because people say soul doesn't have to mean, it has a certain, religious attachment to it. It's a soul. It's what makes us unique. Our unique collective information. Whether it was created by a god at one point, we're uniquely created, right? A unique created soul, or whether we were just this energy that formed all this mass information and blueprints from our fathers and mothers and ancestors, and it was all glued together, and we became our unique individual. And there you go. I mean,
it's the spark of divinity,
right?
I mean, we aren't gods, but we are of God. That soul is the spark of divinity. It has always existed. That informational matrix has always existed, and we just have a little teeny slice of it inside our meat suit that we call the soul. And it's eternal, which is comforting in some ways. In other ways, it's, oh great, I've got all eternity ahead of me, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm not reading Bob's comment. Anyways, Bob, come on. You're killing me. Anyways, yes. I mean, I'm not going to get too deep into what happens to us, or I guess our personal beliefs on what happens. But I wanted to focus on that moment of when people are discussing that, because I think that nowadays we have such unhealthy discussions, and that's one of the things that I missed about when we were doing the Paranormal Council, because we had four of us. Me and you, and of course Bob in the chat, and Sean Carter, who was very religious, Baptist preacher. We all, and Bob, metaphysical guy and ghost hunter, and of course you're like the witch doctor. That's what I love to say. You're like our voodoo priest kind of guy, but Pyomeombe, and of course I'm the ghost hunter as well, and just conspiracy, put it all together, truth down the middle kind of guy. So we all had a very good viewpoint, and we all had unique, but at the same time, we could have healthy discussions about these subjects. That's one of the things that I loved about the four of us together, and I don't see that enough in other discussions. Of course, I'm not even going to touch political discussions right now, but even just discussing, I guess ghosts and the paranormal do almost fall in line with, like, when they always say, don't talk about politics or religion. Well, talking about ghosts sometimes is very close to religion. So it does start to tread off in that territory. And so it's always been a little odd to talk about. But at the same time, I think it's just weird to me that, again, people get very protective or of their own viewpoints, and they're like, hey, this is how it is. Like,
well, a lot of that is they try and redefine already established words to mean something that they're not. It's like they don't even know what the word means, and they're trying to tell you what something is. It's, like, what is a woman? Up until like a couple of years ago, that was kind of self-evident. Now it's like, gosh, I don't know. That could be anything you want it to be. No, that's not how this works. If you can't agree on simple words like democracy or a woman, you're never going to get anywhere. It's actually going to create more and more tension.
right.
The reason the council worked is because we actually had established vocabulary that we could all communicate with, and we all understood what each was talking about on this whole vocabulary.
Right.
You get onto Reddit, and who knows what they're actually talking about because they don't even know what the words mean that they're using.
Right.
So,
well, and Bob kind of even backed you up on that a little bit too, but he had already said it, but he had said that when we had the Paranormal Council, we pretty much agreed on most core topics. So there was also a common thread even between all four of our viewpoints. We did have some agreeable landing spots on these topics. It's just we just had maybe different approaches or viewpoints on getting to that landing zone, I guess. So yes, I mean, those type of things help, and you're absolutely right, Stacey. When there's a clear defined set of rules and language, it's like, there you go. And it's like I tell people all the time, you can, if we are defining the right jargon in the industry, it's like I can go anywhere in the country and I can just pick a state and I can just look up the closest ghost hunting team, and I could probably show up and say, hey, can I go on an investigation with you? I'm Josh from the Everything Paranormal Show, whatever. And if they're like, yeah, sure, we probably could go and do an investigation, and we would know and communicate and get along, but they probably will have different views and I'll have different views, on things, but we all have that common, we know what a dark shadow pretty much means. We know what EMF, and we know there's that jargon, that language among our investigators that we typically use, and it's fairly universal. But now if somebody started to redefine and say, hey, dark shadow is offensive, we need to come up with different terms for that, then it would start messing everything up. And so every time you'd go to different places and you say, oh, did you see that dark shadow? Then like all of a sudden the investigator you're with would be like butt hurt and they didn't know what you're talking about. And then they would say, hey, you're an offensive person. You see what I'm saying? So
dark is implying race. That is so racist.
So now we're muddying the waters of language when all I meant was, hey, it's a dark shadow. We know what that is. It's so and again, I'm just and that's what I know what you mean, Stacey. It's rough when people are trying to redefine just the basics. It's like we don't need to redefine the basics. Sweet Pea 4-leaf clover. Hey, what's up? Back to you. She said, hey, what's up, guys? So yeah, we're just sitting here BSing about the afterlife. Guys, if you have any questions or comments you want to throw in there, hey, throw them in there. We'll talk about them. We're BSing about the afterlife and maybe even some reincarnation stuff. We may even try to contact the dead at some point during the show. We've got a good probably 45 minutes more of the show, I would suspect. So what else did I say? I think in the thumbnail, I can always change the title later, but I think I did go back and when John was supposed to be here last week. I think I changed it, went back in. I said something like, because last time, folks, when we contacted the dead, we actually we asked a lot of alien based questions. It was pretty interesting. So if you want to hear what the spirits have to say about aliens, and whether they were here on Earth, and it was pretty informative, I think. So go back and watch it. Not right now, but go back and watch it after this one's done. So, but yeah, hi everyone in chat. Heck yeah. Back to talking about the afterlife, but again, also, folks, I want to just again address this toxicity of conversation. It's like, when it comes to paranormal, remember, there's really no true experts. And what I tell people is, look, go and start doing a little bit of research on your own, and also look into the people that are saying these things. Did they go out in the field? Have they been around it actually? Or are they just armchair detectives sitting back there on the internet, and they've read a bunch of things, and I've been watching Ghost Hunters since 2004. I've been watching shows all the way back to the late 19. It doesn't matter. You can watch all the stuff in the world. Doesn't mean you're an expert. You've got to get out there and experience it for yourself and really get a feel for things. It's completely different than just sitting at home saying it and talking about it than actually going out there and experiencing it. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. So shared you out, guy. Thank you. I always appreciate that, Sweet Pete. Thank you. I love whenever you guys love Ghost Hunters, but yes, it's so true what you're saying. Look, I mean, Ghost Hunters, I told you that I've talked about this before. So for those of you that don't know, Terry Lynn and I, we used to do some preliminary investigations for the show Ghost Hunters way back in the early 2000s when they first came out. We used to go to some of the locations that people would request, mostly for like season 2, because season 1 they came out, and then season 2 or after season 1 they got inundated with cases, so they started distributing them out to the top investigators for the area. Well, our team was the one in the Panhandle of Florida, so we started doing investigations for them. But in any case, the show Ghost Hunters, the first couple seasons, of course, I do still enjoy to this day. It really reminds me of back in the day, and they were a lot more humble. They were plumbers still. They still had their jobs. They were out there trying to debunk things, trying to actually help people. But then as the seasons kept progressing and episodes kept going, they kept doing bigger and bigger commercial accounts, and that's all they were doing mainly was the big locations. And they were actually making them big locations because they were the ones setting the bar. So every time they go to these places were like, oh, Ghost Hunters were here. Now we can start charging people a ton of money to investigate and blah, blah, blah. And they really spawned sort of the industry that we are today.
Some of them lost that because they were advertising that before, especially down here in Louisiana. They came down and did Myrtle's Plantation. Myrtle's before was like most haunted hotel in all of America. And they had a lot of money coming in, people doing investigations and wanting to stay in the haunted hotel until Ghost Hunters came through and said, yeah, there's nothing here. Now they don't not only advertise that, but they actively discourage ghost hunting in their establishment. So. Right.
And I think and this is a good point too that I want to talk about is you're right. And this is one of the things that we noticed. So that's one of the things that Terry Lynn and I noticed when we were out doing investigations. It's like, it was so weird. It was like we were out doing investigations for Ghost Hunters, but then we would be going to some of these locations, and because of the show, they were wanting to charge us a ton of money. We're like, this has never happened before. Before Ghost Hunters, you could just talk to people or, a lot of these businesses, and they'd be like, okay, if you want, it wasn't a big deal. When all of a sudden they realized that they could make money for charging investigation teams, that's when the industry really happened. Now, on the flip side, like you're talking about, the funny thing is like I feel like there was a lot of politics in that and money and things like that. So when you had certain places that I think it may have come down to maybe they weren't nice to the show, or maybe they were arrogant. It could have been certain owners, certain things. Then I think that's when you typically found the ghost hunter saying, there's nothing really here. It's all good. And all of a sudden they're like, wow, they just dicked us. It's like, but they had the power. They had the power, and everybody was waiting for that moment, and they had it for the longest time there. Remember, at the end of the show was the reveal. They had the table, and you had Jay and Grant on one side, or, if one of them wasn't there toward the end, whatever. But you had the ghost hunters on one side and the clients on the other, screen in the middle, and they would show some evidence, and they'd say haunted or not haunted, and we're all waiting to find out, even though we pretty much knew after a while everything was haunted just about in the future. Once I think they really started bringing in some money on that. But in any case, again, I'm not trying to say there was anything dirty going on. I'm just saying that it's just funny how it evolved. So, that's just so Sweet Pea brought up ghost hunters, and I don't know, it just triggered me on something else. Since we're talking about flaws in the industry and how we communicate, how this industry is sometimes. And I admit, like I don't really help a whole lot sometimes by throwing some of the stuff I say. But
on a side note, on that level, not this last weekend, but the weekend before, I had that thing that I was doing, the drum, and the owner of Haunted History Tours is part of that. And I told her about you and Terry Lynn might come down to do some ghost hunting and things like that, and she's looking around to find some really cool spots. Her off the cuff suggestion is to get one of the hotels in the quarter that is like lousy with spirits and just ghost hunt the hell out of that hotel. But she's looking around for, out of the norm or out of the box type haunting places.
Yeah, that's usually the first easy trick that a lot of the guys will do, like the YouTubers especially, they'll find like a haunted hotel, and they'll like a bed and breakfast and things like that. They'll book that, and so it's almost like booking a location. And they'll go there, and a lot of times they'll make sure it's okay to film, but they'll discreetly do it, sort of like it's just kind of that trade off. And then they'll usually make a video for that. But yeah. I don't know. It just depends, because for the show, for Parrot Explorers, we're kind of at Parrot X's mercy, so we kind of have to see.
Well, I was just talking for you and Terry Lynn. I wasn't talking about.
Oh yeah.
That if you had an itch, that I got a source is going to be doing some deep dive. She's heavy. I mean, she's a tour guide in that whole deal. So
Now, listen, I do have a little bit of announcement I want to tell you guys. And before I do, Bob, I want to cover this. Bob's throwing in some comments real quick. So, first of all, Bob said, it's like hearing about being mugged and actually being mugged. It's the personal experiences that define your knowledge. And that's absolutely true. Again, you can sit there and hear about all these things, and you can have empathy and feel like you were there and feel like that, and so you can tell people, man, being mugged is horrible, this and that. Well, were you mugged? Well, no, not personally, but I'm pretty sure it'd be horrible. It's like you don't really know. I mean, obviously, we all think it'd be pretty horrible. Sweet Pea says, all right, Josh, I'm headed out. Have to wake up for work. Did share you out. Wishing you the best. Have a safe one. Fist pound. There you go. Good night, everyone in chat. Nice. But yes, see you, Sweet Pea, 4-leaf clover. And then Bob did say, same thing happens in Covington. The theater started charging hundreds of dollars when it used to be free before we provide evidence. It was haunted. All right, love you guys. See you soon. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that so much. And thank you so much for spreading the word. Seriously. But yeah, we love all you guys in chat. I mean, seriously, you guys that show up, you guys are always the heart of the show. But yes, the industry definitely evolved into some craziness with that, with the way everything evolved now. I mean, and it's like that now. Still, like you go to some of these places, they just want so much money for everything. I personally, I get it. Some of these places need to. Like, I don't mind supporting some of that stuff because a lot of times we're taught. A lot of these places take old, rundown, historic buildings or old, rundown, abandoned places, and they're able to convert them into like an attraction and generate some money. So, on one hand, I kind of get it. It does help in a way, and there is something that is something you can incorporate into your local community when you have some of these places that are run down that are still pretty safe all in all, like to explore. I'm not talking about stuff with collapsing ceilings, but sometimes when you have these old structures, these old warehouses, things like that, where they're still in good tech, they're just abandoned and creepy looking. There's still money you can be made in setting up tours and haunted attractions and public events. And public events are really cool. I personally really want to set up and do some here in the local area. I would love to do that. I think that would be really cool.
Well, I thought about doing stuff like that. There's a slave cemetery that's not too far. It's outside city limits, but it's within 2 miles of my house. That is just basically an open field, but you go there and it is creepy as F. It doesn't matter what time of day you're there. You're just like, cold chills, and I don't know why. It's just, there's not even any headstones anywhere. It's just this perfectly manicured grass lawn is all it looks like, and it's just empty field. And I haven't brought any equipment out there or done anything like that, but I know it's just humming.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing that bothers me is when I find a location and I talk to the owner, and the owner's like, "Oh yeah, such and such has investigated here." They're the ones you need to talk to and get and find out if it's cool with them. It's like, dude, you own the place. It's your house. Like, it's not a turf war. I mean, and literally it got awkward. Like it was one of those situations where like I was trying to investigate this old farm, and like some other paranormal group had been there. It wasn't a paranormal group I worked with before. It was just like a different paranormal group. And a couple times I'd ask them about it, and like, oh well, I told them about you, and it's like, why don't you just make the decision? You're the owner. It's not a big deal. It's not like they have rights to your place and all this other crap. It's like, so they film there. So what? Other people can film there too. It's not a big deal. I mean, unless you, the owner, don't want more filming there. It's so yeah. It's like another awkward thing that happens. Bob says, given a choice, we investigate private residents or businesses where people are genuinely terrified rather than money-making ventures. I don't know. Terry Lynn says, okay, officially done. Yay, so maybe the internet will stay decent. All right. All right. So but now I'm gonna say this, Bob. I'm gonna address this one real quick. When it comes to private like residential investigations where you're helping a family or something, if they're in need and they need help, that's fine. But I also don't like to do those too much anymore. And it's not because I don't like helping people. I love helping people, and I don't like to turn people away. It's just, it comes with a lot of complication. You really have to make sure that, I mean, you're taking on a major case, no matter what. You got to be there from start to finish, and then usually I'm there for my clients afterwards. Even occasionally I still get some messages from some clients, and when they message me, I address it. So there's a lot of commitment to that. So in a way, I almost do like doing businesses or abandoned places more because it's like I don't have to worry about if I accidentally open up a portal somewhere. Like it's not going to probably affect somebody, maybe the next person, maybe the next team. But I try to be very careful to not do something like that, anyways. Paranormal responsibility. So, but I'm just saying. So I guess you can look at it those couple different ways. But yes, there is something to be said about helping people that are genuinely scared and that need help. But again, it just comes with a lot of responsibility. You know what I mean? So I guess it's the difference between being a doctor actually performing surgery or just being able to play operation, the game.
Yeah.
There's no stakes on that. So
Yeah. The hardest part is most of the time they don't listen to what you tell them to do anyway. They wonder why nothing's changed. It's like you have to actually take the medicine in order for it to help you out. Yeah, but I got the medicine. Have you taken it? Not yet. It's
Right.
that kind of a thing. I mean, how many clients have actually done what you told them to?
Yeah, and there is something to be said about that. I mean, I've had some clients, or I should say we, but so honey, don't get mad at me if I say I, but because her and I have done all the like residentials together and stuff. Some of the stuff lately with the show and things like that, it's been mostly me, like urban exploring. But like when it comes to cases, it's usually always been us. But in that case, some people, yeah, they don't take the advice. Some people do. Some people will literally they get it, they take the advice, and then occasionally if they start backpedaling or something starts happening, they kind of let up. Then they contact us or whatever, and we can say, hey, we course correct, right? But most people, once they truly understand what we've taught them and helped them with, then usually they grasp it. But then again, there's always those some, and some people I think it could be a little bit of attention. Some of these people it brings a lot of attention when they have that paranormal problem. And I think some of it's because, and I don't know how to word this without pissing off some people, so I'm just going to probably piss off some people. But it seems like there's a lot of people that have drama in their life that attract paranormal. Okay, and Stacey, I'll even let you maybe explain how that is. But I'm telling you, as a field, you as the audience, not you, Stacey, but as the audience, I'm telling you that this is what we see as field investigators. The people that seem to be more ramped up with drama, they're putting out this. I'll let Stacey talk about that, but they just attract more paranormal on average, and some of those personality types also seek attention.
Hey, Tammy.
They kind of go hand in hand. So, hey, Tammy. So yes, they go hand in hand. People again having paranormal problems. There's a good little chunk of them drama, and they like attention. So therefore, you can teach them. You go there, you investigate, you teach them. They just don't ever seem to quite get the concept, and they always keep needing help. They keep having problems. They keep having that stuff, and it's like, look, if you keep hitting your head on the wall, and I keep saying don't hit the wall with your head, but then you keep hitting the wall with your head, because I can't do anything.
Yeah.
You put a little pillow or tape a pillow to the wall, but you're still going to hit it, until the pillow falls off. Anyway, so I mean,
well, the first thing you got to look at least I do, what I look at is you have to do a really quick evaluation of the source of the complaint, which is your client. Is this person crazy? I mean, not talking like certifiable, but sometimes they are. Is that crazy something that has been brought on themselves or something that has been brought on by the infection of the haunting, because that can drive you crazy if you've been dealing with it for a prolonged period of time. Spirits can literally start messing with the the gears inside your head, and you're not right on so many different levels, and they got you there. You have to kind of determine which came first, the chicken or the egg. A
Right.
lot of times they're crazy, but why? What got them to that point? And once you understand that, you can actually work with it. Sometimes they need a doctor, sometimes they need a witch doctor. It's really kind of, you know, down the middle of what's going on at the moment.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's always tough, but again, that's what I'm saying. There's always that, and also brings up that point too, that a lot of times you get, you know, this is kind of the difference between getting an investigation team that's been around and kind of knows how to navigate that, or at least recognize those things, versus like, you know, some young kids that just start up their team and they're out to film some YouTube stuff, and they come in your house and just make things worse and drive you even more crazy. So, and that's another point I want to bring up on that.
Yeah, it's, you know, the personal interview beforehand you do anything is crucial to understanding what's going on, because, you know, the spirits may have been there before, they may be following the person around, or they may have been invoked by the person who's now complaining about it. You don't know exactly what's going on until you do that first interview. You know, why is this the way that it is? And, you know, it's a lot of times you can miss something that is crucial to the investigation if you skim over that initial interview process. That's probably one of the only things that I can look at the Warrens, like the investigators of you know, they get the whole series that they're doing on TV or in the movies. I can't remember what her first name is now.
Ed and Lorraine.
Ed and Lorraine. They concentrated really hard on the interview process before they even investigated the property, and they would spend, you know, a whole day just asking a series of questions of what's going on, who did this, and it was really hardcore on the interview before an investigation would even start. So that in of itself was, you know, crucial to them getting down to a lot of the things that they did. Investigators today, a lot of times, will skip right over that process and then go right to the EVPs, you know, because that's what they really want, is those EVPs, which are cool, I have to admit. But if you're trying to solve a problem, you have to find out what the problem really is. So
Right. And I think that's probably why I've gotten a lot more away from residential in cases, is just because, you know, I did so many in the past that it's like you just get to a point where it's like, okay, I don't want to go through the whole process. I just want to do this. So, but that's, and it's not being selfish. Again, I'll help people in need. Like Terry Lynn and I, if people need our help, we'll help them. But again, I'm not. The difference, I guess, is back in the day, we would have put stuff out there saying, "Hey, if you have problems, you know, paranormal problems, you know, we'll help you out." So we're almost like advertising, saying, "Hey, you need help." Whereas now we don't really advertise it. We're not seeking it. We're not seeking those cases. You know, we're just looking for, I just want to go in and find a creepy building and capture paranormal and put it on YouTube, or hopefully it's during our show Parrot Explorers. So,
I've noticed that that's probably the best method. People who need it the most will find you. People who need you the most will find you. It's the way that people find me. I don't advertise anything. You know, I have courses and things like that, but I don't put it out there. Oh, by the way, I do this. No, the students find me who seek it, and they're guided. Their own spirit guides bring them to me. So
right.
it works out.
And I think, and I do want to take a moment because you did remind me, and we should take a moment to talk about some stuff. And one is that, folks, if you do want to take some courses from Stacey, his home base of operation, so to speak, is on Udemy or Udemy. But go to Udemy, look up Stacey Tallitsch. You see his name right there on the screen. There's also a link in the comments below or the description below. But you can go to Udemy. You can find him there. He's got a wide variety of courses to take, from remote viewing to survival stuff. So it's really cool. And he's always got some amazing discounts going on as well.
Speaking of which, starting today for the next 5 days, I have a coupon code. If you use PowerUp22, all capital letters, PowerUp22, all of my courses are $10. So
there you go. You can't beat that, because let me tell you, his courses range. They're pretty good prices on some of them because they're worth it. Like, he has some they're quality courses. I know because I take the remote viewing course, so I've seen the quality of the course, and so yeah, that's awesome deal. All right, so, and we'll talk some other things here in a second. Bob says there have been investigations where the client fails to mention they tried to cast spells and open portals through experiences and things like that. Sammy Gunn, Josh, are you still going to bend Stacey over later? No, that's not the plan, since we're not in the same state, but it's a good question. And, we always say you can participate in the show, so there you go. So in any case, was it Bob? Yeah. So Bob was saying through experience, we try to ask. So yeah, again, I think what Bob is talking about too is pre-screening interviews. But pre-screening interviews, just trying to make sure that you're not going to go and investigate like a crazy person that really doesn't have help. And that's always tough. And that's another reason why you want to pre-screen things. So Lorena Mitchell says, so if you were in the same state, then you would? Probably not, because I am married. So I would consider that a form of cheating.
Why are we even discussing this? Where did this come from?
I don't know.
I didn't know this was an option.
I'm assuming probably Sammy Gunn is probably a troll, and Lorena Mitchell maybe contemplating that idea. I don't know. So, anyways, so there we go. All right, so Sammy is blocked. I hope.
Bob was talking earlier about that Paranormal Underground has got a new podcast that they're doing. He's going to be on that one.
Yes.
They're going to be discussing the same stuff in their new podcast. Which,
yeah, but their podcast sucks.
Oh, it does?
Because ours is the best.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. But no, Paranormal Underground magazine. No, I have to promote the magazine because they are good folks over there. So I'm sure they have a good podcast, things like that. I just always say that because we have our deal right here. Why would you want to go anywhere else? I mean, if you want to hear Bob, well, he'll have to be here on our show. Don't go over there and listen to him. So this is a podcast. I don't know what to call it anymore. Lorena, I don't know. Because I have a feeling Lorena's probably a troll too, but I don't know yet. But we'll find out here in a second. But in any case, I don't know what they call this crap anymore. I just do a YouTube live show. That's what I call it. But every time I turn around, people's like, "Oh, you got a podcast? Oh, you're a vlogger?" I don't know what the official terms are. I always think of vlogging as like somebody talking in the camera, going, "Today is day 4 of my diet," that kind of thing. Like it's like a diary on like a video diary. Is this a podcast about Stacey being a power bottom?
What is this?
I don't know, but we just had to block Lorena as well. I don't know. We just had a couple of trolls come in. I mean, it's kind of funny. I think it's funny when they say things like that. I guess it's fun for them to sit around and troll a small little cast like ours. It's not like we're, some major podcast. That's probably why they do it, because the big ones have like tons of comments scrolling all the time, and they can't really get their troll comments through. But like a small one like ours, it could be like, "So you're gonna bend them over?" It's like, yeah, real good. What are you, 13? And you pick Lorena Mitchell as your profile.
Beavis and Butthead stuff.
Right. Sammy Gunn. Yeah. All right. Bob says they will be on Wednesday. Still get you watch you on Thursday. Well, you know what, Bob? They didn't ask me to be on their podcast, so I don't really care, and I'm not promoting their podcast. So who cares if they're on Wednesdays? I just got to give Bob grief because this is the show to watch. All right, so I think it's the best show, to be honest with you, because we're real. We really talk about this stuff. We're very down to earth and real folks on this, and we're able to be funny when we want to be. Other people are boring. I'm just being facetious. All right. Okay. But yeah, Paranormal Underground Magazine, folks, go check them out. Seriously. Now, for those of you that seen the beginning of the live show, I had a trailer on there for a show called Parrot Explorers. That is an original series now. In fact, we filmed episodes 2, 3, and 4. Episodes 1's already out. And if you're like, well, Josh, how do we watch this series? Mm-hmm. Well, it's on a streaming platform called Paraflix. Paraflix. All right. And do what?
Link down below.
There is a link. And also, I'm going to pop this up here on the screen. To get Paraflix, use promo code Parrot Explorers with a Z 10. Parrot Explorers 10, just like you spelled. I always hate the reverse. I can't go through Stacey's screen, but right there, Parrot Explorers 10. So use that code, get Paraflix. And what's cool about Paraflix is they're all like, it's all like paranormal content. So really cool shows. And of course, Parrot Explorers, that's our show. And it's original series. And we're getting ready to debut episode 10. You're not going to want to miss. We have a special guest star on there, John from Exploration Unknown. We announced that last week. So it's going to be a great episode. I'm so excited. We've got 3 and 4 that's in the editing room. So I can't wait for those to be released coming real soon. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited. So I think we got all of our promotional stuff out of the way. Oh, no, there's another thing. Stays like, what do we got to promote now?
And that's not all.
And that's not all. There's more. For those of you that want to meet me at anywhere, folks, we're going to be at CreepyCon, most likely. So far, we're like 95%. Okay. There's like a 5% chance that maybe something might come up and we can't make it. But right now, we're like 95% locked in to be at CreepyCon in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's a big event. We're talking 4,000 to 5,000 people. I don't even know who all guests are going to be there. It's going to be pretty amazing. Maybe I can even try to get this pulled up here just to show you guys. It's going to be big. And I may be speaking there. I've been talking to them, and we've been looking at it. Let me see if I can add this here. So you can see here. But yeah, this is like a really big event. You got to purchase tickets. I don't know who. Let's see who the guests are here.
How much
it's going to be the end of August, by the way. Oh, look, there's the guests. That's not inquiries. Well, anyways, so guys, if you are interested in cool shit like this, this is where you can find Terry Lynn and I the end of August. I think like the 26th, 27th. I don't remember dates and times. Yeah, 26th, 27th, and 28th. There you go. And it's going to be how much the tickets?
Yeah.
Let's see. A 1-day pass for One person. Oh wait, $25 for a 1-day pass. 3-day pass is $45. I don't know why I just did that. 12 and under looks free if you want to bring your kiddies to something creepy. But yeah, so that's not bad. But that's what I said. This is like a big one. This isn't like just some little teeny festival somewhere. This is a big convention. Again, they expect 45,000. This is a regular event. This isn't like a debut. This has been around. So it's going to be pretty big. Oh, here you go. We got some cast and crew of the Night of the Living Dead 2022. Indie horror filmmaker Michael Wade Johnson, paranormal investigator Kalani Smith, FX artist Nick Benson, New York Sun-Times James Dashner, artist Jeff whatever. But yeah, we got all kinds of stuff. And they are, like I said, they are talking about me putting on a work, what do they call it, a workshop?
Yeah.
So I may be doing a workshop where I'm gonna talk for maybe an hour or so. I'm not sure yet. They're looking at slotting me in. So, but if I don't do the workshop, okay, then you'll still be able to come check me and Terry Linden out. We're gonna have a bunch of our spirit boards, as you know. We always show you guys. No, Terry Linden, that wasn't yours. That I dropped something of mine. But again, a lot of our custom made spirit boards that we do. Yes, I had the planchette right here. And I dropped my board here. This is like some round ones, things like that. We're going to have like stuff like that. We're going to have some crystals for sale. I'm going to be doing some book signing. And for those of you, see, we were supposed to be out at the UFO Fest in Wytheville, but unfortunately we ran into some problems and we couldn't make it out there Saturday morning. So, yeah, that kind of sucked. We were going to make it, but this is like a big one. This is like this is going to cost money, and you know it's a big event. We don't want to blow this. So we already was approved and all that good stuff. So 95% chance we should be there. So for those of you, if you're going to be in the Knoxville, Tennessee area at the end of August, come to CreepyCon. It's going to be a good time. All right. Now I think we got that all out of the way. I think we got everything covered. Yeah, I know. It's like we got so much going on. We just got to let y'all know what we got going on. And I don't have a website anymore. I quit doing that because like nobody uses websites hardly ever until you actually decide like I kind of need one, but then you're like I really don't because every time I have one, I don't seem to get a lot of people using it.
Yeah,
so
everybody uses Facebook for their website now.
Yeah, so I'll probably list the event on the Everything Paranormal page, Everything Paranormal Show page on Facebook. I'll probably use that and make an event and see who's all interested in going or whatever. For those of you that maybe are in the Knoxville area or something like that, again, come check it out, man. Come say hi to us. Meet and greet. I'm going to be selling my book. I'll sign it for you while you're there if you want a physical copy. But other than that, okay. So now that we just got all that crap out of the way, what do you guys want to talk about? Oh wait, what did Bob say? So Bob, they will be there Wednesday still. Oh yeah. This is their first show. They just wanted to get the bottom of the barrel guests out of the way so they can only improve. And Bob says, and my book is coming out in the next few weeks. Well, that's good. I'm finally glad to hear about your book. So, folks, I will promote Bob's book when it comes out because Bob is a good friend of ours, and we consider him family. Mm-hmm. So we will definitely give him some advertising for absolutely free because we want everybody to run out and get Bob's book.
Yeah. When I think of doing a maiden voyage on anything, I always say, where's the bottom of the barrel on this one? We want to get the absolute worst for a maiden voyage,
Yeah, it's like the Titanic. That's why I think. They said the Titanic said, you know what? The White Star Liner said, let's make the worst ship and just see what happens. And guess what? They did.
They did. It was a success in that regard.
Yeah, bottom of the Atlantic, right? Yeah. So, there you go. You know, so nobody ever shoots for anything good on the first run.
Mm.
Remember, Stacey pointed that out, Bob, not me. All right, so all right. Well, actually, Bob pointed himself out on that. He likes to do that. But so, folks, as we kind of get toward the back part of the show, this is kind of that back end where we start wrapping everything up. If you guys, any of you that pop in here that have questions, also I want to say something too, that if I do notice we still get quite a few people that watch this afterwards, and they don't watch the live version. So again, if you have questions or comments, feel free to comment down below, like and share, of course, do those things. But comment, like if you have a question about something, because I'll see those comments, and on the next live show, I can bring that up and say, hey man, Stacey, we had somebody ask us about reincarnation or whatever, and they had this specific question, and we'll talk about it. We'll put it in the next show, or we'll address it in the comments. If it's like I said, if it's a good enough question and we need to address it on the air and we think it's intriguing enough, or if it's just a question we can answer, I'll answer it right there. So I just wanted to make sure I point that out to you guys. I guess we can get rid of the Parrot X banner, Paraflix. See, I keep confused. I didn't even know. I never realized Parrot Explorers and Paraflix was going to be so confusing as names together like when I'm trying to promote them. But I'm known as the Barrel Boy, as in bottom of. No, Bob, stop. Don't beat yourself up too bad. Now, Bob's been writing for Paranormal Underground magazine for a long time, so he's got many articles in those. I told you guys you get a year free, right? If you go and mention me, just go to him, and you can go and you'll get them every first of the month in your email. All right, I didn't really get into the details, but now you know. You're educated. All right, so what do you want to say on the Afterlife, Stacey? We kind of talked about it earlier before we got into the whole promotional break for the last 20 minutes.
Well, it's a huge topic.
Yeah.
Depending on your upbringing, your education, it can be a lot of different things. But like I was saying before, even the dead themselves are shocked of what actually happens, because it's nothing like what they were taught. At least the ones that communicate with us on this earthly plane. The higher elevated spirits, they really don't bother because they've got their own things going on. But what they understand is nothing like what they were told it was going to be. So they're
Right.
as much in the dark as we are, except we have the ability to, actually ferret things out with technology and, working with each other. They don't really have that even so much. They don't even communicate amongst themselves in haunted locations.
Right.
The elevated spirits talk all the time with each other. It's a common phrase that the dead gossip, so like your spirit guide has the ability to go out and talk to other spirits and bring them in because they can talk with each other. And you do that through divination to determine that with the Dowsing Rods. But for the most part, when you're doing the EVPs and things of that sort, they're just as lost as we are. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think I want to add, when it comes to Afterlife, I think for me, my biggest thing going into this show tonight was the discussion around it, the toxicity. And, I just want to remind people out there, like, don't get caught up so much as in this is the absolute truth. Again, try some different things, explore, do some paranormal investigations. I tell people, but make sure you get some guidance though. Don't just start recklessly investigating, but get some guidance. Maybe find some local paranormal teams, watch some of our shows. We talk about how to open and close sessions in some of our previous videos. So make sure you're doing some of those things, how to protect yourself. We talk about protections. So there's a lot of things you can learn before you actually start doing investigations, just to try to keep yourself like a base level safe, right? Don't just run out and start trying to do like enchantments and spells, and just don't start performing witchcraft or something without knowing anything, right? Don't do anything like that. We're just talking about paranormal investigations. Get yourself some basic safety setups. Again, open and close sessions. Watch some of our videos, research, and then try some and start getting a feel for how the spirits are. Asking the questions, because here's another thing. I'm going to bring this up toward the back part of our show. Another question I had seen in this forum, again, they come in my email and I see the question. It's almost like a bait. It's like you see the question, like, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on it because I want to see what people are saying. And I do sometimes. And then I see where it's like I see the comments and I see the, all the upvotes, all the stuff. There was another question that said something like, why do the dead never talk about God?
That's true.
And right. And that's my first response was like, that's not true. So first of all, why would somebody say that? And of course I had to click on it and start kind of looking, and they had this big, long discussion or what they said. And then other people responding, and some people, some of the most popular responses didn't come out and say that. They just said they were trying to answer, and like, they had this big, long answer, and they're quoting things and all this other crap, and I'm just like, it sounds like an armchair detective to me, to be honest with you.
Well,
because in my experience, through actual communication that I've fucking done over the years, I'm allowed to F word, still be PG-13, we're allowed one. But through actual investigation, I've had spirits that do acknowledge God. Yeah. So that's wrong. Period. It's like, why do they never say they do? So,
and a word to the wise on any of this stuff: when you're dealing with something that is an unknown, a mystery, arrogance and narcissism don't mix in very well.
Yeah.
If you're, worshiping your own magnificence when you're doing stuff, the dead will slap you around. Not directly, but indirectly. And when all is said and done, they're going to be laughing at you because you are a fool. Narcissism is hubris is the worst, but narcissism is one step below that, and they all hate that. So humility and at least a little bit of curiosity on what's happening will go a lot farther, because it's intellectually honest. Curiosity is intellectually honest, and
right.
Narcissism is the opposite of that.
Right. And like, I understand, like, a lot of times one of the popular things that I'll see that comes up in my emails will be like, they'll ask questions about like the Bible and stuff, and like, I get that. Like, those I get. And I'm sure there's probably like a ton of, there'll be like a ton of responses, because again, interpretations. So sometimes people have questions of like, why did Moses, blah, 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 whatever. And then it's, or how come this? And then you go, or she get all this other responses and all these other things. That's fine. I get discussion. I get that. And again, some people feel like their interpretation is gospel, when it sometimes is just their interpretation. Now, I like the responses when they say, here's the what I believe the meaning is based on this, and sometimes they'll even use other scriptures as reference, right? Just like the story when there's a story in the Bible where they're lining up people, and I was talking about this before, when they were lining up people, laying them on the ground and measuring them with a rope to find out if they were giants or not, right? Because they really didn't have a ladder to be carrying around and stand up on a ladder and so they had them lay down on the ground. But the detail of this section, it's missing a lot of detail from the Christian Bible, but it goes into more depth in the Jewish Bible. So there's, and I'm not Jewish, but when you do research, you want to look at the passages, whether it's in the Jewish Bible or whether it's in a different, version, or maybe even an NIV, an international translated version or something, like the NIV version or whatever. You want to look at different scriptures to fill in the blanks better, or to get a full description. In this case, is Bible readers are like they were never fully sure exactly what's going on in there, but if you did research and you looked at that same story but in like the Jewish Bible, you would actually find the details are a little more fleshed out, and then all of a sudden you're like, makes sense now, blah blah blah. And that's why I can describe what's going on in that scene, because again, I research stuff. And that's the point that some of these people, I like when they have answers like that. But anyway, Stacey, I can tell you.
There's a whole thing in Christianity called apologetics, which basically is research. The Jesuits were really big into it. They researched the gaps in, not only the different Bibles, but the different interpretations. What does this really mean? And critics will go after one interpretation as opposed to another interpretation. And apologetics actually addresses that. It's its own field of study of scripture, both of the Torah, the Pentateuch, and the the New Testament. It even goes back to the first version of the Bible that was before them all, called the Vulgate. It was only like 4 books. It was the Gospels, and that was it. And that was before even the Council of Nicaea and all this other kind of stuff. That's apologetics goes all the way back to that, just to try and determine what something is supposed to be within the scripture. So,
right.
And trolls have been around since the beginning too. There's actually a troll, if you want to call him that. It was a Greek philosopher, a Stoic, named Celsius, which is where we get the temperature thing from. And Porphyry. Porphyry was the equivalent of Rush Limbaugh of his day. He wrote some scathing stuff based off of the gaps that were supposedly being promoted by the Gnostics at the time. So,
yeah.
I don't know why I just went off on that tangent, but
no, I mean, but this is what I was talking about with when people answer like these type of. I like when people have a good response by saying, like, to me, that's healthy response. So as we talk about toxic, discussions, to me, those are good responses to people, is when they say, hey, this is what I believe based on, say, this, and when they can sort of back that up a little bit with something, or they just say, hey, this is what I believe. I think it's toxic when they say you're wrong, blah, 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 and here's the right answer based on this.
Oh, hey, Sean.
Hey, Sean Carter. Most don't know the first and second temple Israelite cosmology that deals with these topics. Laugh out loud. Well, and that's true. Again, and this is what I'm talking about, is that there's certain parts of things that, again, people don't always fully know the full answers, so they just go by that thing. And there's always a quest to find out the truth. This is why I always tell people, seek the truth, right? There's a reason for that. It's because it's that never-ending quest to learn the truth for yourself as well. Because I tell people all the time, look, you can sit there and watch all the videos in the world. You can do all the things. It's not going to make a lick of difference for your faith. It's not going to make a lick of difference for all that stuff, most likely, because you're gonna watch so many videos. You'll have so many conflicting things. You're always going to be like, I don't know. You have to go out and find it. You have to go seek the truth for yourself. And for me, I had my own personal quest. I went out on that quest. I went out and started doing paranormal investigations and all those things. Eventually, when I got to the point where I started, doing the research for my book, right? Yes, it's definitely good to hear from you, Sean, for sure. I'm so glad that you're in here. And I was actually talking about how much I missed the Paranormal Council, because we all had amazing viewpoints. We all still shared common ground. We could have healthy debate. But yeah,
on words,
yeah, we were
words.
stuck on words. So, but anyways, just to wrap up my point is just that. But yes, healthy discussion, guys. You have to go on that journey. And like I said, when I was researching my book, I was on a personal journey, and I'm like researching. I went back to I was reading the Bible again, personal choice. But I was also reading other scriptures, and I was finding myself, oh, okay, I want to know more about that. So I go and search, and through all of that, I found my faith again. So my personal journey, right? Not nobody else's. I can't convince you. I can't prove to you anything. I can't do anything for that. I can tell you my personal journey. I can tell you what I believe, and I put it in a book. Maybe a little bigger. I put it in a book, but it's not going to convince you until you take the journey. You have to take the journey, not just watch other people talk about it and then try to form. There's too much confliction out there. So, but definitely watch our videos because it helps, right? It's part of the research. So, but I'm just saying you have to still actively go out and research.
Yeah. You can't do it by armchair. It's got to be up close and personal, and it really does become personal. So you got to do it.
I know we need to do like a paranormal council show. Get all four of us together again, even if Bob can't be on camera and he just does the audio. As long as the audio is not Satan, but I think he fixed that problem. But in fact, I think the last time we did a test, everything tested good. So, but see. He said one of his tenets of Freemasons is to continually learn how to be a Satan worshiper. Jesus. I'm just kidding. No, Freemasons, man, I can't talk anything. I'll end up dead in 2 weeks now. Now that I talk shit about the Freemasons, all of a sudden I'll just be gone.
Yeah, the worst they could do to you is make you go to a pancake breakfast,
Oh, no, we're not going to pick on the Freemasons. Come on. I'm just joking around because of all the conspiracy theories and all the stuff, Good show. Got to hit the road. Sounds good. Let me know. Have a great night. Yes, Sean. We'll definitely have to do a paranormal council again one night because that's really a good thing. And we'll have to get the boys together again. And
I thought about you the other day. I don't know if you know Dr. Steve Turley. He was talking about the rise in demonic possessions that are going on. There's an epidemic that's going on from the Vatican's point of view. They actually can't get enough exorcists out there because it's just the culture of what's going on. People are summoning them right and left, and I was like, man, they need to get hold of Sean.
Well, yeah. What do you think's happening with all the gas prices? Of course, all the demons are coming out of people. I mean,
well, yeah, there's somebody like attracts like,
I know, but that's probably why Sean's got to hit the road. That's probably why he's been such a busy guy lately. He's been having cases all the time now, helping people out. Shutting it down, as he says, right? Going in and shutting it down. But that's good. I like that style, and Sean has a very religious. Go in and shut stuff down, and that's awesome. That's what you need to do in some cases. Instead of a lot of the rigmarole in the show and the dog pony show where you go in and you're setting up camp. We do that just to try to capture and document stuff and our own fun. Our own. It's weird because a lot of these investigations that we go on are also still part of our personal journey. So it's still there's a little bit of selfishness in every investigation we go in. Probably.
Well, what I don't understand is this whole demonic thing with gender. I mean, I didn't think demons were really hung up on confusing gender. It just seems to be a running theme for some of these things where they're wanting to get into kids' kindergarten classes and things like that. I don't understand it. Dr. Steve Turley was, associating those things with the demonic rise and the possession that seems to be going on with, kids. There's always seems to be some kind of transvestite involved in the orbit of that child. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and Sean said he had 3 in the last few weeks, and he said the dead is speaking a lot as well. And honestly, Sean, we don't want to obviously keep you from where you got to get to, but we need to get you on the show again. We need to have this discussion. I think it'd be a great topic to talk about the increase that obviously you're noticing. Because this is what I'm talking about, folks. Being out there in the midst of things gives you the real world. Like if somebody was to say, "Oh, there's more possessions and there's the dead speaking more," well, that's just an empty comment unless you're out there in it. And Sean's involved out there. He's out there in it. So he can tell you, yes, he's had more possessions, obviously. He's had more dead that's speaking and things as well. This is what I'm talking about.
He's boots on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so, and again, I've been out there in the field, and I know Stacey's not so much like a field guy, but he's involved with actual people and actual cases. So this is what I'm talking about. So yes, good night, Sean. Thank you so much. That's cool. It's so cool hearing from Sean again, and I'm so excited. We need to definitely get the council together again for a good night of discussion of the dead, especially with the increase like you brought up, Stacey. So I'm excited about that. That will be cool. So guys, that'll be a cool show. You'll definitely have to tune into that for sure. But yes, just to even talk a little bit about that. It's just, and my whole point of tonight's whole show was just the reality versus people just talking shit out there on comments and responding to things. Folks, talk to folks. Talk to folks. There's people out there that are, as Stacey just said, boots on the ground, right? The term boots on the ground. When you're there, you see it, you feel it, you're there, you just have more cases or whatever. And then there's people that just sit there in their armchair, internet people, like you see a lot today. They're just, repeating a lot of talking points that they've seen on other paranormal stuff and blah, 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 blah. But when you talk to them about actual investigations, they're like, no, I've never been on one, but I'd like to go. It's like, really? So it's pretty crazy. And I can't discuss much about the upcoming Parrot Explorers episode, but there is some good paranormal in there. I can tell you, even just from experience, when you're at a location and it's quiet or whatever, there's nobody around, when you hear voices right in your ear, when you hear noise, certain types of noises, because there's always like little noises here and there that houses can make. But sometimes you got to remember, some of these houses, they're pretty much settled. They're not doing a lot of creaking, not doing a lot of moving around. They're fairly settled already. It's been how many years? But you get certain intelligent type responses through certain knocking when you ask for it, or when you hear voices, when you go back and look at evidence. And oh God, I cannot tell you, man. And I think, Stacey, I played this for you.
Yes.
The EVP.
Yes.
Now, I've captured many EVPs. Now, in this upcoming episode, I will tell you there's a very good EVP in it. I can't tell you what it says because I will admit, I think it's a possibly Native American word. I don't know because I don't speak whatever tribe it may be. I don't know. So I'm hoping somebody may hear this particular really good. I'm talking like in the microphone. Remember, I was told you the one.
Right.
This is another one, except it's a word.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And anyways, I'm hoping maybe somebody out there may recognize that word because it's right in the microphone. But my point is that there's just certain moments when you're out there, or even when you're reviewing evidence, it's like for a fact. And like the one I played for Stacey and my wife and stuff like that, because they're like consultants, right? My wife, she reviews the cases or like the investigations and helps me find the evidence. She's really good at it. And then Stacey again is another one to bounce stuff off of and get his opinion on, like a consultant. But when you know for a fact that this particular type of person was not anywhere near this location in the middle of nowhere, it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And so it's so cool. And nothing can top that. Like watching it on TV or watching it anywhere can never replace you actually capturing for yourself an EVP. That's what happened to me and Terry Lynn years ago and got us to the next level of investigating. Was like, wow, when you like you read, you can research. I've done a lot of that for years. Go out cemeteries, play around like a kid. But when you actually start capturing stuff for yourself, hearing things for yourself, whole nother thing. Bob says, when I spent 2 weeks in the hospital, I was surprised how many nurses asked about the paranormal once they found out I was an investigator. Mm. Oh yeah, and I'm not surprised in that sense. But I will say this. You know what was really cool, and this is quick. I know I sometimes get long-winded, but Bob reminded me of something. When I had my emergency gallbladder surgery, I was laying there, and I can remember I wasn't like doped up real bad or anything. I only had some painkiller, but I wasn't like loopy or anything, and I'm just like chilling, and I'm tired, and I'm laying there, and I remember actually hearing, it was almost like a couple spirits came right to me and were clear as bell. And they're just like, I don't know. And I heard one of them say, I don't know. I don't think that's him. And the other one's like, no, that's not him. Come on, let's go. It's like they were looking for somebody. And they were talking to each other, and I heard them clear as a bell. And I'm like, and I opened my eyes, I'm like, whoa. And I wasn't like in a deep sleep or what. I know for a fact that was paranormal. I'm sorry. That was because it was like HD whispering right into my ear type thing, like they were right there. It's no dream. I've had dreams and blah blah. No. This was, and and I was in a hospital. I mean, spirits have to come and go all the time, and I guess they were probably looking for somebody in particular, So
hospitals and Walmart are the worst.
Walmart.
Seriously.
It sounds funny.
Walmart is
Walmart. That's like a book. Let's write the book, Stacey. Hospitals and Walmart.
If you were to incognito do an investigation of Walmart, I mean, I don't even know how you do that with all the people walking around. It'd have to be at night or something. But
now that our Walmart's not 24 hours anymore. Although I don't know if they have a night crew, maybe for like stocking and stuff.
Probably.
But can you imagine though, like if you did get permission to go in, like on the overnight, like be locked in Walmart and stuff, if they'd let you do that, it'd be pretty cool. Be like the first paranormal investigation in Walmart.
Corporate would shit. They would.
Right.
They would lose their minds.
Walmart's haunted. What? Bob says I have several EVPs on our website. So Bob's website, guys, if you want to check it out, is boblikesanal.org. So I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Bob, what's your exact website? You need to make sure you put that. Go ahead and put it in the comments because we got to promote your folks there. But I want to make sure because I can't write. It's a .com, isn't it? I just didn't want to mess up if it's a .com, .net, .org anymore. I don't even remember anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does have some really cool stuff. I think we checked him out live one time. We went on this stuff and was like listening to some live things. But folks, we are going to start wrapping stuff up. It is 10:36. We've been talking for an hour and 35 minutes. I hope you guys learned some stuff tonight. And if anything, if you walk away from anything, I hope you learned a little bit about the afterlife and a few other subjects. But I really hope that we start trying to not have such toxic discussions. I mean, about anything really. I mean, this can apply to even politics, Star Wars, all these heated debates that go on out there. Guys, don't always leave room for opinion. Okay, don't just assume that your shit is the perfect opinion, that you know exactly the deal, even if you truly believe that there's no the fuck.
Is it a bug?
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out what kind of bug that was, because okay, it may just be I don't know, almost looks like a damn wasp though, but I can't tell from here because they fold up the wings. Might be. Okay, I think it's a lightning bug. Okay, I can deal with that. I just don't want to get stung. All right, but yeah, guys, I really do hope you learned something from tonight. In that sense, but ultimately, be nice to each other. I mean, it's a short life, anyways. Because even if you live to be 100+ years old, that's still just a minuscule, teeny bit of time in this universe. So we're just a speck, right, of a fleeting moment out there. So just while you're here, be kind to others, be kind to yourself, and always remember, seek the truth.
Peace.